this. Another big controversy in Hollywood in the last couple of weeks is this very restrictive abortion law that was passed in Georgia and a few more in other states. Walking Dead has been produced in Georgia now for many years. A huge community there, hundreds, thousands probably of people locally employed by the show and the shows. AMC joined other studios and networks in a statement that if these laws were passed, made their way through the courts, and that's a big if, and will take a lot of time, but that you would reconsider producing there. But I just, it was the natural conclusion, but what were some of the internal conversations when you have, a civil rights position on the issue, but, or rather, a rights position on the issue, but you also have a responsibility to a community that you've worked with for years, and there's a family in Georgia. I mean, how did you kind of process that internally?
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation. We've been in, as you say, we've been in Georgia with The Walking Dead and with other shows, but The Walking Dead talks about itself as a family, and it really is. I mean, there really is a village that's been built. There are people who have worked on the show for a long, long time, people's livelihoods, people's relationships. I'm very, very glad that our company issued a statement that said, if this restrictive legislation goes into law, then we will reconsider our activity in Georgia. I'm very, very pleased we ended there. I personally consider this a civil rights issue. If women don't have reproductive autonomy, we can't participate in society as full humans. That's my personal perspective. So I was very glad that our company issued the statement it did. Yeah, there is a lot to weigh up. There's a lot. It's also, I think, this issue is in many ways bigger than Georgia. This restrictive legislation is being passed in many, many states. It will be challenged in courts. It will probably get to the Supreme Court. It seems that that's the intention behind this legislation.
Right.
It's a particular moment. Again, I personally feel like any attempt to roll back rights that we have acquired is not good for gender equality.
You talked earlier about changing hearts and minds with storytelling. We've seen that. You mentioned it. We've seen it with Will and Grace and Ellen, a lot of shows that really did change the culture in the United States around gay marriage and gay rights, LGBTQ rights. I'm looking at this even bigger investment you're making at BBC America into the nature programming. You can explain the plan, but there's something called Project Awe, working title, although I sort of like the working title, where the entire Saturdays are going to be devoted to this nature programming, and there's going to be a micro network, something online as well. Do you think climate change and the environment are issues that people can respond to in the same way with storytelling as they do with these sort of human relationship related issues? Can you have that same impact? And what are you doing to get there?
Gosh. There's a Buddhist poet called Gary Snyder who has this line which I so agree with, which is, if you want to, something like, if you want to save the world, first you must fall in love with the world. And I think that's very much what I think about this issue. I think that if we were to put out programming that build itself around climate change, probably fewer people would watch it. But I think that because these shows like Planet Earth and Blue Planet and Dynasties, and next year we have 7 Worlds, 1 Planet, there's a panel tomorrow. I think because these shows are so seductive and ravishing and beautiful, you watch them and you're reminded of how beautiful this planet is. And then because the filmmakers, the Natural History Unit, the BBC team that have been making these shows have been doing it for 60 odd years, they're extraordinary, they develop new technology, many of them have PhDs in animal behavior, they come at it as such sort of scientists and documentarians. So for them, capturing the fragility of our planet at this point and capturing what we're losing is a necessary part of the documentary filmmaking. So I think that the way they come at it, with this sort of like awe you feel, and this love you feel, and then this sort of, really impactful realization of what's changing in our world, is the very best way to engage people, I think, around climate change and its impact on our planet. There's extraordinary ways in which Blue Planet 2 shifted the whole conversation in the UK around plastics. It became something that was debated in the House of Commons, laws have been passed. The entire consumption of plastics in the UK has changed because of the show. So it didn't unfortunately have quite that impact in the US. It's a different conversation. But I do think these shows can shift how people feel about the planet and then utterly inspire us to want to do something about it.
I hope so. So I want to talk a little bit about the programming you have coming down the line. You mentioned Dispatches from Elsewhere, which I believe is Jason Segel's first foray into TV as a creator.
Yeah.
He's obviously been on television for years and very successful shows. And it has the storytelling that will engage the audience, which has been tried before. I mean, we've done it with voting on American Idol and things like that, but this I think is going to be a little more advanced.
Sure, it's interesting.
Yeah. And another format that you played with is a show on Sundance TV, State of the Union. Those of you, Sarah and I were both in the Jeffrey Katzenberg talk yesterday about Quibi and these 10-minute pieces of content that maybe could add up to something at the end, if the creator wants to do that. Apparently you already have that with State of the Union, 10 episodes of 10 minutes. And how did you program those onto Sundance, and then what do you think will happen with them down the line?
Yeah, I think there's a really interesting shift in form. I've always been so excited by when technology creates new screens for people to watch, then new creators come along telling new kinds of stories in new ways. The interesting thing about State of the Union, actually, I guess, is it isn't a new creator, it's Nick Hornby. He's an amazing, established creator who's worked in books and film and has he done TV? I'm not sure if he's actually done TV before. Anyway, he had this idea which was about, he wanted to tell a story, he'd been kicking it around for years, and he couldn't figure out how to tell this story, which was essentially about a married couple who are having problems, and he wanted it to be set prior to them entering their weekly couples therapy session. He didn't want to go into the room because he sort of felt like it's not interesting to have a camera in a therapist's room, so much of it is not saying anything for so long or whatever, but prior, the 10 minutes prior. So he watched High Maintenance and he realized, I can actually tell a story at any duration, and it was incredibly liberating and freeing for him. So he wrote this story. There are 10 10-minute episodes of this couple, so it's just two actors now. Well, there's a few little extra actors, but really it's just two actors, who are Chris O'Dowd and Rosalind Pike. So amazing performers. Stephen Frears directs it. And each week it's just their conversation. They've sort of had a week to digest what happened in the therapist room the week before. They're just about to go in, so they're nervous. They're sort of wherever they are with each other. Nick Hornby writes about men and women in a way which I think is just so extraordinary, so insightful, so funny, so true. So there are these incredible pieces. And we commissioned them for Sundance TV, but then we aired them in our first plank was to get them, we thought, the sort of premium accolades they deserved. So we had a festival play. So it got into Sundance Festival, these pieces got into Tribeca, they aired as all 100 minutes together. So it played, it was interesting when Jeffrey Katzenberg was talking about it yesterday. I was biting my tongue to say, you did that. It aired as a movie, when it hung together, and Nick Hornby's sort of very laconic, low-key British thing afterwards was like, I guess it works as a movie too. And it really did. And then we aired them on Sundance TV every night. It was 10 at 10, so at 10 p.m. every evening we aired it. But then we also put it on Sundance Now and SundanceTV.com, our digital platform, 2 a day for 5 days at 5 o'clock, which we figured was the time when people would be traveling and maybe watching on their mobile. So it was great. It was really innovative piece of content. If anyone hasn't watched them, try and watch them. They're digestible. It's so amazing to sort of be able to watch something that's only 10 minutes. It really is. And it's absolutely short form storytelling that is every bit as prestigious as premium high-end hour-long scripted drama. It did well for us. And honestly, I assumed that the audience on Sundance TV, and I said to the team, don't worry about ratings, don't worry about Nielsen ratings, they're going to be terrible, that's okay. The point here is to do something innovative and try it on a lot of different platforms. It actually did okay on linear TV, which was sort of bizarre.
And then did you see some different data on the mobile version? Or
Yeah,
more different ages, of
yeah.
what you might expect, or?
We did.
Yeah.
We saw, all the things you'd imagine, we saw a younger audience on our digital platforms. But it was great. It distinguished itself, which I think, again, if you're small-ish and if you're in the disrupted moment we're in television, you have to do things that just make you stand out from the pack.
One more show that sounded so interesting to me, you have coming up this summer on IFC, is called Sherman's Showcase, which is a fictional show about a variety show, and we were talking before, many have tried in the last 5 years. There's a lot of affection for the traditional variety show, the sort of Sonny and Cher or Solid Gold, those shows that were huge. And people have tried to bring them back, and it hasn't been very successful. So I'm interested what you think is the different, how treating it in a scripted way can maybe beat that small curse on this genre.
Yeah. It is really experimental, and it kind of meta upon meta. It's a fictional variety show, kind of like Soul Train, I guess, and it's written by Diallo Riddle and Bashir Salahuddin, who are these two amazing writers who wrote on Chocolate News, they wrote on The Daily Show. They're fantastic. So it's really at some deep level, it's about race. John Legend is an executive producer, Tiffany Haddish is in it. It is definitely slightly off, true to the IFC brand lens. It's fantastic, it's joyful, it's funny, it has something to say underneath it all. But it is very risky in form and very unlike anything else. I mean, to me, you have to keep doing that. I think that if you're not a platform like IFC, if you're not a platform that has huge traffic coming to you, you just have to do something that makes you stand out from the pack. I mean, Portlandia at the time was, everyone was like, what is this? No one's going to watch this thing. You just have to, I think, be taking the kinds of risks that Sherman Showcase and Portlandia and Documentary Now and Brockmire, those kinds of shows, you have to do that. I think it's about distinction, it's about doing something a bit different. So we're really excited about Sherman's Showcase.
Is there any talent, creative or star talent you have your eye on that you're dying to work with, or just is on your wish list for?
We did, when I was at BBC America Alert, just on that network, we developed something that didn't go anywhere with Natasha Lyonne as an EP, and she was just an incredible person to work with. She wasn't writing it, she wouldn't have been in it, but she just is so friggin' creative. So then seeing Russian Doll this year just made me think that it would be great to actually make something with her sometime. I love Russian Doll. I thought it was so audacious and ambitious, and I think they pulled it off. Yeah.
Also a different kind of storytelling, which is exciting to see. Well, we are down